USA, okay, India, no. So that
Shami needs a spin-off.
Yeah, he needs a spin-off, right? I was coming to that. He needs a spin-off of his own movie. He should have his own movie of his own. How did he become Shami?
Hi everyone, on public demand we are here, and this is going to be an interesting, a very different episode of Cinema Hall podcast. And this time it's visit down the memory lane. It's a time travel sort of an episode because today we are going to talk about a very loved film and a very a classic of Malayalam cinema, none other than Kumbalangi Nights, because I had put up a poll last week asking which movie do people want us to talk about. I had put up four options, and Kumbalangi Nights was hands down the most voted one, unanimous winner. So here we are to talk about it, and as always, people who almost every time make it to my podcast, Sneha and Farhad are here. And so thank you guys for coming in and also revisiting the movie today again because you guys had seen it long back. I anyway saw it a couple of months ago for the first time. But yeah, so good to have you here and excited about talking about a film which is so much loved by not just people in Kerala but people all over the world.
Yep. Really excited.
Yeah, and yeah, so this is, I think, probably the first movie that is not new that we are going to be discussing. So
Mhm.
this is going to be like a different experience for us also, whether how the video is going to be perceived. So it'll be like nice, to know. This will be a fun discussion, I think.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I said it's going to be a time travel sort of an episode, like what if we were doing these podcasts back in 2017? So how they will actually look like. So a visit down the memory lane. So if in a nutshell I had to tell you about Kumbalangi Nights, it is primarily about three young men and their school-going brother. Okay, and they are living a pathetic life in a wasteland, uh, and in a very incomplete sort of a hut in a small island near Kumbalangi. So that's how the name Kumbalangi Nights come. But okay, here it's also important to notice that this is one of the very rare films where Fahadh Faasil is not playing the protagonist role, and yet, his role is so pivotal in the film, even though it's a cameo. But I think for me, out of so many amazing roles that he has done, the uh, the stamp of Shammi, I mean, what I took home after the film more than anything else was Shammi and his wicked smile. When he sees himself in the mirror in that opening shot and says, "Complete man." So I think that after so many months, that uh, image of him, it's still so fresh in my head. So Farhad, when you saw the film for the first time, did Fahad Fasil stand out the same way, or you were actually not really aware of Fahad Fasil's phenomena by then?
So the interesting fact is that I had actually watched this movie like 2.5 years back. So it's been quite a long time, and I remember. So I have a friend who is a Malayali, Nimisha. So she had actually recommended this movie Kumbhalangi Nights, and that time I wasn't such a big movie buff to watch all uh, movies from the different industries, like Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. I used to watch one odd here and there, but not very frequently as I'm doing right now. So she was actually, she had recommended. She was actually like after me. You should watch. You should totally watch. You're a movie buff. You should totally watch. And so one night, after returning from work, those days we used to go to work. Okay, it's been that long. So I happened to tune into this movie, and I just went in with a blank slate. I did not know what to expect. Fahad Fazil was, in my opinion, that time in my intellect, not a very big star because I hadn't watched too much of his work before that. I'd probably watched Takeoff, which he was in even a smaller role. So I hadn't watched his filmography at that point. So Kumbalangi Nights was the first time that I actually noticed, Fahadh Faasil in such a character. I had watched Bangalore Days also, by the way, in which he was a totally different character. So here he was this narcissistic man, who actually adores himself. He loves looking at himself, loves to present him in a good way, and then thinks everybody else around him is shallow.
Yeah.
That is the shade of the character that was there. So I mean, it was a very different character and very different approach that Fahad Fazil had taken. It was such a character that you wouldn't like, but there was something likable about him that he brought to the table, that you couldn't hate him. I mean, you couldn't like him either, but you couldn't hate him also. It was a very balanced act and a very different approach to his character.
Yeah, I think if we talk about his role, he also gained a lot of weight for that role, preparing for it, and then it's. I think it's a testament to how versatile he is as a performer. When you compare him in Kumbalangi Nights with that sort of a look, and then when you think about Joji, where he was so lean and looked like a college-going boy. So I think his and he also produced the film, by the way. So nobody else was doing that role. So he decided, okay, let me take it on my own shoulders, and he agreed to do that role. Not a lot of people would actually have done Shami the way he did it, and I think, I mean, we have run out of adjectives for Fahd Fasil now. So Sham Purushkaran has written the film. So so Sneha, do you think by using masculinity itself as a tool to correct so many things in this film, Sham Pushkaran has uh, used it so wisely. It's also laughable at the same time, which is of course, it's a subject that they have tried to address in the film, but in a very laughable sort of way. As Farhad said, you cannot like Shami, but you also don't dislike him. So he has those mixed sort of shades. So what was your takeaway from Komalangi Nights when you saw it first?
So I thought that it was actually a very sensitive portrayal of masculinity and what toxic masculinity can lead you to. So I think the all the four brothers, they had their own issues and everything, but I don't think any of them were menacing or toxic the way Shami was. I think the toxicity of all four of them and everyone was inculcated in this one character, and he just like it just came out so beautifully. And also, I think it was a strong message that you know like immense amount of toxicity can also lead you to insanity. So because Shami was on the borderline of insanity, so I think it was a very sensitive portrayal, because I can't recall right now any other movie right now that has shown a man seeking help, therapy for his problems. And it was such a beautiful portrayal when Saji asked his little brother that I cannot cry, I need help. It was a beautiful moment, and I am not sure like a lot of writers or movies take that approach. Of course, they deal with it in different ways, but like the portrayal was very different and I think unique.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we talk about contemporary cinema, that Malayalam film industry is now going through, I think this will be always a milestone film in that contemporary, the change that has come in the tonality of Malayalam cinema. Uh, I won't say it's a breakthrough, but it will always be counted as one of the very important films. It is certainly a movie that has moved very closer to truthfulness and perfection, I would say, because it's very difficult to find flaws in this film. Uh, the movie is primarily, as I said, it's about three young men and their brother, but I also felt that there is not a lot of insignificant characters in this film. Like everyone has a very important role to play. Like there are films where somebody would appear for a scene or two, he's not as significant, but this film had everyone had a very important role that somehow influenced or manipulated the narrative going forward. So, if you had to pick one particular scene which stayed with you, Farad, like for me, as I said, especially Shammi in that saloon, that saloon wala jo scene where he's shaving that guy, but also at the same time he's talking to his brother, and then that other scene where he's very in a very strange and a funny way he's peeking into the kitchen like that without his clothes. He's half naked. So all those scenes actually have stuck with me. So Farhad, which was your favorite scene from Kumbalangi?
So there are actually a couple of favorite scenes. One is a slightly serious scene, which I think Sneha has already said, that Saji is actually confronting in his brother and also his friend in two separate occasions, saying that I cannot cry. I mean, that single line says so much about how men are brought up in this country. They are not taught to cry. They are actually taught to hold your feelings inside you, and which sometimes comes out as toxicity, masculine toxicity, or you can say anything. So then it just says so much about even men have feelings, and they should be not ridiculed in expressing it. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be a man and cry. It's fine. It has nothing to do with a man or a woman, actually. That is one thing. And I think on a totally different tonality, right at the end, when all the characters are in Shammi's house, and how they trap him in that fishing net, and still he doesn't give up and tries to cut loose, but still then he's caught and he's hung. So that part I found it to be damn funny. I didn't see such a shift in the tonality, and still doesn't seem odd, and it still seems like it ends on a light note. I mean, there's like, probably it could have gone the slapstick way. It is a slapstick at the end, towards the end, but still it is so well done that it doesn't feel out of place. I mean, I could totally buy it that it would have actually happened as well, and probably Shami deserves such an end as well to just to complete, just to the to actually trap him at the end. You're actually trapping that masculinity also, and you're freeing the woman in the house. So that is the metaphor that was also there, which was also an undertone in a very hilarious sequence at the end. So I really love that last sequence.
I forgot to add one more to my favorites list. USA, okay. India, no. So that scene again, you would have seen on YouTube that scene alone. That's like a 3-4 minute scene. The footage they put on YouTube, it's got million views on its own. So that scene again, it'll never go out of my memory. Sneha, what about you? Any favorite scenes?
Yeah, so many. But yeah, if I had to pick, like, even though I know Shami is a very favorite character and everything, but for me, Frankie is my favorite character in this movie. I really felt for him right from the beginning to the end, and I just felt that towards the end, he finally got the home that he deserved, the family and home. So one of the sequences that I really liked and makes me emotional is when Saji brings over his friend's wife and the kid for the first time. And I think it's the first time that all the brothers are standing, and I think Bonnie's girlfriend, she's also standing there, and just Frank is just sitting there with a smile. And I think they also play the soundtrack, the main theme of Chiratukal during that time. I think it was a very emotional moment. Like I could see Frankie and I could just feel his happiness. And another sequence, so I was rewatching the movie today and I realized it was so well done. It's a very nice sequence. It's the sequence where Shami, for the first time, uh, he takes over the position of, being the male head of the family. So I think he's talking to his wife's mother. He's talking to his mother-in-law basically, and he just says that, can I move my chair to this spot? And he moves the chair, and I noticed this today, that there's great foreshadowing, because behind his chair you could see the late father's image. So I think it was great, ऐसे foreshadowing की हुई थी, and I thought it was really nicely done. So, but yeah, like all the sequences with Frankie are actually my favorite. He was so sweet in the movie.
You know,
I think
the sense of loss and helplessness that the movie conveys is it's also quite heartbreaking. Like, when Saji's friend commits suicide, and spoiler alert, guys. I mean, I am hoping that you guys have seen the film because it released in 2017. So, uh, I hope it's okay to spoil the movie here. But that scene, and then its effect was so everlasting until the end, because it also gave Saji a purpose in life later on, that because until then, apart from the youngest boy who's a footballer, who's supported by a state scholarship, and other than him, the men practically do nothing. And they were jobless and seemed to be stuck in a sort of a bubble of their own. So given their depressing family background, and how they go to their mother as well in one scene, so the only shimmer of hope in Saji's life later on seems to be, to take care of his friend's wife and kid. Yeah, Farad, you were saying something.
so. I just wanted to add one thing to what Sneha had said. That scene that was there, that it just made me remember that when you know Bonnie gets his girlfriend and Saji gets Vijay's wife, after Vijay dies, trying to save him while he tries to commit suicide. So that is what, so when they come for the first time in the house, so I think there was a reference saying that now our family is complete, like the women in our family complete our family. So that is one important, I felt a message that was sent out. Without women, I think men would just be like animals. I feel they would just roam around helplessly, and just won't take care of themselves probably. But then when women come around, then that effort is there. The woman is after you, that yeah, you should take care, and she takes care of the house, and both of them in fact complement each other while growing a family basically. So that was a lovely message that was there as well.
Talking about women,
And also, go ahead.
talking about the woman in the film, be it Baby or her elder sister, who's, always the obedient wife to Shami, they, you know, you realize that they are actually not the ones who need the help of a very strong man or of sort. They stand up on their own when it actually matters. They did stand up for their own, and they didn't really want a knight in the shining armor to burst into the scene to save them, or to save the day. Because I think celebration of masculinity or patriarchy has been out of the way of Malayalam cinema for a long time now. But how we started this podcast, talking about the contemporary, the change that has come over the years in Malayalam cinema, I think those days are way behind us now. So that's how I thought, the way, by the end of the film, the way the women stood up for themselves, that in itself was sort of a punch in the face for masculinity or patriarchy. Yes, Neha.
Yeah, so like you're saying that all the female characters, I think they held their ground, and their storyline was like equally important as the guys, because I still remember the sequence when Saji comes to Vijay's house, to check on his wife and also to apologize. Uh, she she she's not like, her reaction is not what you expect it to be, and also in such a situation you would be angry and emotional, but in a way she was very understanding of his situation also. So I think that was a very nice character that they included, even though her part wasn't very elaborate as Baby's or someone else's, but it was a very nice and sweet character that they incorporated.
Yeah, absolutely. I think movie is also quite detailed, and a very authentic portrayal of human lives, because this kind of layered portrayal of human lives you hardly see these days, especially in Bollywood. I mean, people keep commenting about our comparisons between South and Bollywood, but we don't do it consciously. It just automatically comes because, see, we have born and brought up watching Bollywood films, and we were exposed to Malayalam cinema or South Indian cinema very late in our life. So once we started watching these amazing films, that's when we realized that what kind of cinema we were catered all these years, where, once or twice maybe a great film would come in Bollywood, and other than that, everything was pretty much mediocre. So that's how now, having seen so much of Malayalam cinema in recent times, the mind automatically just goes to the comparison. We cannot really help it. So that's why I'm saying. And what's also striking about the movie is the quality of its writing, and the cinematography by Shaiju Khalid. I mean, he's himself a director, if I'm not wrong. He also directed a recent film. I'm forgetting which one he did, but and the importance of love within the family, not just that, but to also at the same time show the brutality of patriarchy that even an eccentric man can exert. Because at first sight, when you see Shami, you will never expect that sort of a wicked patriarchy or narcissistic behavior inside him that is hidden. So because honestly, when I started watching the film, and that first scene came and he's looking into the mirror and he says complete man and all, my idea of Shami was, I thought maybe he's like a funny character in the film. He's supposed to be that character who relieves the tension, or who comes once in a while. But I think the way they have shown it, and the healing power of human touch and compassion, as we talked about, Saji going to that doctor and then crying out loud. So I think every sort of angle or aspect of human life which are so basic, and also part and parcel of most of our lives, which we would have experienced or seen in people around us, they are so well portrayed, and all the actors have done a splendid job. I mean, it's very difficult for all of us to pick one favorite performance from this film, isn't it, Farad?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, matlab, I mean, there are so many great,
Yeah,
performances in this movie. It's a proper ensemble.
yeah,
Even if you see, Shobin Sahe, Ruplesh Saji, or I think we just
Deepika.
last week we, talked about hashtag Home, which had Srinath Basi, who's in this movie as well. He's Bonnie. And Anna Ben is a prolific performer. I feel she's done some great work like Helen, and very recently Sarah as well.
Yeah.
So she was in this. She has such a disarming smile, like you are bound to. She just puts a smile on your face every time she comes on
Mm.
screen,
He reminds
and
me
of course,
of Mithila Parker.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. But she has such a wonderful smile, and very cheerful smile. So I feel she's my favorite. I mean, in Malayalam cinema.
And also, I think in this movie, she was also equally badass because I love that sequence
Yeah,
where she just slaps him. And it's so nice that they're watching Arjun Reddy at that time. I thought that was a very good comparison. So, yeah,
totally.
she was
Very good
cute and also
performer.
badass in equal parts.
Also, that character who plays Bonnie's girlfriend, even she
Yep.
did a very good job. I'm not sure about her name, but I think how recently in all the films we have talked about how the house plays such an important character and role in the film. Even here, I think that house in the wasteland, that is the soul of the film, because at the end of the film, everyone comes together there, and they are living together regardless of the dynamics of relationship between them, because if you notice before, in the beginning of the film, when the brothers are living, every day they would fight on some sort of petty subject, and the younger one actually does say that this is nothing less than a shithole or a hellhole, something like that, because he really like the vibe of that house. And it's the same house by the end of the film. As the film resolves, it's the same house where everyone is living together, regardless of the fact that they're married, or they're in a live-in sort of a thing, or those things at the end doesn't matter. So I think this house was the soul of the film for me. And the night, I mean, again, talking about cinematography, how those night shots at Kumbalangi looked so beautiful. Last week we talked about, when we talked about hashtag home, and we asked people to tell us which area of Kerala that was, because that looks so beautiful. So even Kumbhalangi in itself is such a beautiful place. Uh, So I think before we end this, it's safe to say that Kumbalangi Night is it's one could say that it's an art film, but it's not really an art film, isn't it? It doesn't really has that sort of a formula or a of those pretentious art movies that Kerala is probably known for, isn't it?
Also, I think,
So
I think Malayalam movies are now a genre in themselves because they've just found the right balance between commercial and parallel
Yeah.
cinema. So I think they're just becoming like a genre in themselves now.
I think
I
this is a perfect example of a film which ends up between art and commerce, and it without over trying, it just falls in that category, and it pleases both the masses and the classes.
So I just wanted to say that if there are any newbies who want to actually start watching Malayalam movies, then I feel Kumbalangi Nights might not be
Yeah.
the perfect movie to begin with, because you need to develop that taste in Malayalam cinema as well, because it's so different. And it is and once you develop the taste, you'll come to know why is it so different and why is it so great. So I feel this might not be an ideal starter pack. I feel there are movies like Ustad Hotel that probably, or Bangalore Days, something like that you can start with, and then you can probably jump onto Kumbalangi Nights, which has a little more deeper meaning as far as the screenplay is concerned, with lot many metaphors and underlying currents that are there.
I think
So
Also
that is
extremely wholesome and heartwarming. I thought the
yeah.
end, everything, like the all the characters, like everything comes to a full circle. There's a proper end to all the character arcs. So I thought it was very wholesome.
I think
And I just wanted to just say one last thing, that just to give a small perspective. Each of the characters, the three brothers and the brother that they have, the young brother, they all have backstories which are not shown. They actually are through dialogues only. So that is one refreshing thing. And the character Shami, he doesn't have a backstory. It's
He
up to
needs a
your
spin-off, I think. Shami needs a spin-off.
yeah, he needs a spin-off, right? I was coming to that. He needs a spin-off of his own movie. He should have his own movie of his own. How did he become Shami? Was he this goofy type who, because of his father being an abuser, all of a sudden when they are not there, he's the man of the house. So he has to show his, by default, has to show toxic masculinity. I don't know. I mean, I'm just making things up. It's nothing is there in the movie. So that is the beauty of the screenplay as well. I feel that it's not explained, it's not highlighted, it's left to your imagination, something to you, and still everything, as Sneha said, it ends on such a well-rounded form that all characters get justice at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about Kumbalangi Nights is I think nobody is a hero or a protagonist in this film. Even though there is Fahadh Faasil in the cast, but nobody is a hero. Everyone is a flawed and a broken human being, which is the reality in real life. Nobody's perfect in real life. Nobody's perfect in this film, and everyone is trying to stay afloat and make space for one another. Doesn't matter if they like them or they don't like them. That's the beauty of the film. So I think Kumbalangi Nights is going to be a very special film for all of us here, unanimously. Uh, doesn't matter if we come from a Malayalam background or a Malayalam community. It doesn't matter because great cinema, transcends boundaries and languages and borders. So thank you to people who actually made the film, who sent this beautiful message across with this film. So Sneha and Farah, thank you guys as well for coming on board for discussing this film, beautiful film, which was requested by so many people. And so this was Kumbhalangi Nights, guys, in a time travel episode of Cine Mahal. And hopefully, I'll have another poll very soon, and in that, we'll have some more options for which movie you want us to discuss about. So, hope you like the discussion, and please leave the comments what you felt about this film. and follow Farhad's popcorn reviews. So yeah, so thank you guys. Please follow us on Instagram, on other platforms to connect with us and connect with our work. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.